What's up, you guys? Welcome to a brand new episode of Ask Alex, episode, I believe, 86. I cannot believe I have 86 episodes of this show. And I honestly cannot believe that people still keep sending me questions of random stuff, which is so cool. And also, I can't believe that I have two amazing co-hosts with me to continue this ship on this show. Jeremy and Ian are here with me today. Jeremy, how are you doing today?
Just keep the compliments coming, bro. I'm feeling it. Ooh, this is nice. Just let them rain over me. I'm good, man. I'm good. I'm excited to report that we all just now finished recording the latest episode of Real Debates. So you guys make sure that if you're checking out Ask Alex, that you're also watching Real Debates because we have a good time.
Yeah, that was an amazing episode. Tune in for this week's episode. I'll put the graphic on for this week. But this Friday, I'll be going against Jeremy Logan versus the Dark Knight. Who you got? Because I don't know. We don't know who wins. But, man, it was such an amazing match. And I can't wait for you guys to watch it. And how are you doing today?
Man, I still can't believe it's not butter.
It's true.
Okay.
And yeah, no, I'm always blessed to be here and in your guys' presence. And I can't wait to talk some movies, man. It feels like it's been a minute, man. But yeah, these debates, man, don't sleep on them. Seriously, they are worth the watch. They are entertaining. They're hilarious. And, you know, as movie fans, you know, we should always have these conversations of why we like them. And I feel like these debates have brought them out.
Yeah. And I have to say before we continue on, this wouldn't be possible without you guys. So from all of us, we thank you guys for watching. Also, I have to thank my co-hosts as well. They literally helped us create this thing, and it's blossomed into something that I see it becoming really big. And I want to thank, if it wasn't for them, I don't honestly think that it would be where it is now. So thank you guys. Like, this is so much fun, such a wild ride, and I pray that we continue to ride this wave together. But if you guys want your question or topic on this show, all you have to do is just send me an email at the AskAlexShow@gmail.com. That's the AskAlexShow@gmail.com. If you submit your question or topic, your question will show up on my show potentially, and we can all of us will have a great discussion about it. Also, if this is your first time watching any of my videos, hit that subscribe button and then hit that bell right next to it. That way you get all the notifications of every time I'm releasing a video here on my YouTube channel. Hit that like button as well, so that way you can get all my videos in the algorithm every time I'm putting out some content on my YouTube channel. Now that we've gotten all that great stuff out the way, guys, let's jump into the first question of the day. And our first question comes from a Iris Peoples returning guest. Miss Iris Peoples, thank you for submitting amazing questions. I read them all the time. And she writes, "Hey Alex, the Batman movie and other Warner Brother properties have been pushed back to 2022. Do you think this is a smart move by Warner Brothers?" Well, thank you for your question, Iris. So what Iris is referring to last couple days, the Batman, the Black Adam, and Wonder Woman, not Wonder Woman, I'm sorry, The Matrix and other Warner Brothers properties were pushed back. The Batman's coming out literally in 2022. Wonder Woman, I believe, is still coming out this year at the end of December. The Matrix is coming out later on in 2021. Also, Dune got pushed back, which we'll tackle later on the show as well, which is a Warner Brothers film. And Black Adam, they don't even have a release date. They just took it off the rundown. They're still preparing for the movie, but they took it off the rundown. Now, my thing is that I said on a previous episode of Ask Alex, where me and Ian were even semi-debating about this, about putting movies in the theater during a pandemic. I said there was one studio that did it right, and it was Universal. They pushed back Fast 9 because it's a $1 billion property. They pushed it back to next year. I think they even went back and pushed it back even further because they're not sure if the world will be where it's supposed to be by the time it comes out. Warner Brothers announced that they're pushing back some of their major essentially billion-dollar properties. Now, I would like what me and Ian discussed before on the last episode. It doesn't need to hit $1 billion to be successful. It has to hit its money back and maybe a little bit more just to be equal. In a pandemic right now, Tenet has not made its money back at all. It's almost, I think they have to, no, from the report I read from Variety, they have to hit almost $800 million to break even because they spent $200 million on the movie. They spent an additional $200 million on marketing. Plus they spent other money to market this film in other expedition. I said on this show, putting out movies right now is more of a luxury. I don't think it's wise to put out movies in the middle of, do I feel safe about going to the theaters? Now, again, I'm not going to express my political beliefs on anyone, but I still have that standpoint of I'm not going to the movies because I don't want to put myself at risk. Just like I'm not going to the gym. I'm not going to, if I'm going to restaurants, it's like a takeout type of deal. But I'm not doing anything that's considerably a luxury that's not as a necessity. Now, to answer your question, is it a smart move? Yes. Do I think the theaters will survive by then? I hope so. But I don't know. Regal just announced that they're closing all their theaters until, I believe, December or till probably the beginning of next year. At the end of the day, nobody is going to go see a movie during this crazy time and expect at least reasonable numbers. That is the reason why a lot of these movies have been pushed back. I believe I did an episode with me and Jeremy where I even said, I think they should just get rid of the whole year 2020 and just push all this stuff back to 2021 or later dates. Because I don't know about y'all, but I'm not going to the movies, and a lot of other people are not going to the movies because it's not a necessity right now. So, Ian, you heard this news. What do you think about Warner Brothers pushing back their movies, and do you think this was a wise decision?
It's a wise. I mean, it's the safest decision you can give. So kudos to you. You did call it. But I do agree that is the safest decision. I do feel like we could, if kids are going back to school and we're going to restaurants, I do feel like it's not the worst decision to make to go to the theaters if they made the perfect precautions. But you can never be too safe. So I'm not against this decision. I can live without the movies, like you were saying. It's not the biggest deal. We could just move on to next year and try to figure it out. But we got to figure something out eventually. But I will say this as well, man. If you get COVID-19, please definitely quarantine the full time. Don't just go out 2 days later, parade, wave at people like a jackass. So definitely take all the precautions. Don't endanger people. And not to get political. That's my take.
It's a general statement.
It's a general statement.
I mean, I cannot help but agree more with what he just said. So, you know what? I can't even respond to that because I agree with everything that he just said. So, Jeremy, what do you think about Warner Brothers pushing back all of their properties? And do you think this was a wise decision?
Well, let's start with the most important thing first, guys. What we've learned over the last couple of days is that with infinite resources, all the money in the world, and holding the highest position probably in the world, you can survive the coronavirus. So don't worry about it. You'll be fine. Don't listen to that. That is inaccurate. That is, you can't look at all things as being equal. But I've been to a couple movies, and after going, I feel pretty comfortable with the way that the theater experience was for me. Most people aren't even messing with it, which is great because people who are, they're not going to be among as many people in each screening. So that's cool. Like when I went and saw Tenet, it was maybe 30% occupancy, maybe 35% occupancy. When I saw New Mutants, it was like 25% occupancy. And since then, nothing new has come out. I'm not going to go see Jurassic Park or Empire Strikes Back, not because I don't love those movies, but because I've seen them so many times, I'm going to just get bored and fall asleep. I don't. As much as I love both of those movies, I don't need to see them right now. I'm good. That's not rushing me out to the theaters. I might go see Akira in 4K. That's the first time they've ever played that anime on the big screen in 4K, and there's like a 7 o'clock showing of that by Funimation. So that would be pretty cool. I'm trying to treat this as two different questions because question number one very much lends itself to some of the same thoughts that I have about question number three. But let's look at question number one from the perspective of the studios and not the exhibitors. So from the perspective of the studios, Tenet just now proved to Warner Brothers that opening up a gigantic movie in the middle of this time is guaranteed to make them lose money. So from a financial perspective for the studio in the short term, it's probably the wise decision. However, if the studios keep pushing back, a bunch of people like me don't want to go see, Empire Strikes Back for the 50th time, then nobody's going to the theaters. We just now saw what happened with Regal. Again, I want to try to keep these two things separate. But in the long term, it might be a terrible financial decision for them not to just eat shit on the immediate blockbusters that they have coming out in hopes that people will slowly trickle into the theater, even if they're only getting the same box office numbers as Tenet, to keep things moving. Because, people have used the word unprecedented times so many times in the last couple of years. But looking at the film industry specifically, there has never been this much time between major releases, and it's kind of crazy for people like us who absolutely live and die for movies. It's very it's a difficult situation to navigate. So I'm a little bit torn between, obviously, if you want to make $150 million on opening weekend with Black Widow, you can't open it up now. That's a dumb decision. But if you want to, carry on having movies in theaters in the first place, then you might want to just take the hit. So that's kind of where I'm at a toss-up,
Yeah, and you know what? I do agree with that because to a degree, like he said, if I'm a studio, let me just put this in perspective before we go to the next topic. Studios are losing money if they don't put their movies out. Because when you spend over $400 million on a movie and you have to pay the banks back and it's just sitting on the shelf, like like right now, Disney and Warner Brothers are firing people because they are not making any money from their major exhibitors. And I get that we're in like what Jeremy said, unprecedented times right now, but like he said, if I'm a studio, I could take the hit and make whatever I can, and hopefully on the on-demand side, make whatever I can on that. But I mean, at the end of the day, right now, I think it is wise to push it back. But I will say, I do agree with Jeremy from looking at it from the studio's perspective. At some point, they have to put it out, whether it makes $1 billion or $100 million, is made some money, even though it will still probably lose a lot of the money that is spent. But what do you guys think about about Warner Brothers moving majority of their properties? Just jump to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And we have a very interesting second question coming from a Lee Campbell, and he writes, "Hey Alex, with Jamie Foxx confirmed to be Electro in the Spider-Man 3 movie, does this mean we will get a live-action version of Spider-Verse? Thanks for taking my question." Well, thank you for your question, Lee. So literally within this week, Jamie Foxx has been confirmed to come back as Electro in the Tom Holland Spider-Man 3 movie. Fun fact, like Ian hit me up on Instagram and sent me the link. And my response was like, what the hell? Like, I don't, what? At first, I really thought this was a fake story coming from a foo-foo website. But when he sent me the link, I believe it was from like Variety or something like that. And I did my own research. Variety, Deadline, THR, they're all saying the same thing. And you can trust those websites. Can't trust We Got This Covered. By the way, fuck you guys. Anyway, Anyway, so uh, do I think this will set up a live action version of Spider Verse? Now, I do not know anybody at Sony. I know one person from Marvel, and when I asked him, he didn't know. He works in marketing. He didn't even know. And again, so this is speculation. This has not been confirmed by anybody, nobody. But I firmly believe Sony has talked to Andrew Garfield. I don't know about if they talked to Toby, because I don't think Toby Maguire. If you pay him a certain amount of money, I think he might be willing to come back. But I just don't see him wanting to come back as much as Andrew Garfield, because the only reason why I say that is because Sony and for lack of a better word, they fucked Andrew Garfield. They literally put him in 2 movies and they said, you know what? We're gonna merge with Marvel and create a new Spider-Man. Like they fucked him. And I really do believe if they're gonna bring Jamie Foxx back, they've had I believe, and again, I don't have anything to confirm this with. I believe they had a conversation with him. Now, will we see a live action version of Spider-Verse where we will see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield? That is my hope. I want to see that because I would love to see that dynamic. Tom Holland teased like years ago that he would love to have Tobey Maguire as a Uncle Ben. So that would be kind of cool to see Tobey Maguire Spider-Man meet a alternate version of him where he's Uncle Ben. Like, I think that would be kind of cool too. So the nerd in me would want to see it. But also, my thing is that if you're going to do Spider-Verse, it can't be just those 3. It can't be just three Peter Parkers. We got to have Miles Morales. And we got to at least have like Spider-Man Noir. Or we got to have at least, I don't know, like Spider-Ham. Something of that nature. It can't just be those 3, in my opinion. By the way, I think this is a terrible choice in bringing Jamie Foxx back as Electro. That was the one thing in that movie that I hated about Amazing Spider-Man 2. So for me personally, that was it. Well, I mean, there are other things as well, but his and don't get me wrong, Jamie Foxx, amazing actor, amazing. His portrayal of that, trash. Like, there was nothing in that where I believed him at all. I was laughing the whole time I saw that movie. So, I think that this would be an amazing chance for them to do a live action Spider-Verse, but it can't just be those 3 versions of Peter Parker. So, Jeremy, you saw this news. What do you think that, Jamie Foxx is coming back, and do you think this sets up a potential live action version of Spider-Verse?
I hate it. I hate everything about this. I hate the idea of a Spider-Man multiverse as much as I hate the X-Men and Avengers crossover. I'm not with it. Like, I understand. I'm a comic book fan. Like, Spider-Man is my favorite superhero. Batman's my favorite comic book character. There's a whole thing about that. But Spider-Man is by far my favorite superhero. He's super relatable. Most of the movies that he's been in have been good. Most of them have been good. Mm-hmm. Some of them have been great. Most of them have been good. Some of them have been Amazing Spider-Man 2. So to take the worst part, as Alex said, I agree, bro. Like, he was Edward Nygma from Batman Forever. Yes. That's what he was. Yes, and then he turned into Electro, and he was like, it was just weird, man. I didn't like what they did with that character at all. I don't understand why you would take the movie with the most funk on it. I'm pretty sure that at this point, people are more critical of Amazing Spider-Man 2 than they are of Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. And that movie is trash too.
Yep. I agree.
So, like, why? Why bring back Andrew Garfield? Because he got burned by Sony? Oh, here you go. I guess here's your consolation prize. Why bring back Tobey Maguire? Because he and Sam Raimi got burned at the end of the Spider-Man trilogy. I don't know. I don't know if I were Andrew Garfield, I think I would just be like, nah, I'd rather move on. However, if they're like, here's $50 million or whatever to play the role, that'll change your tune real quick. But that said, I like the X-Men over here. Because in a world where mutants are oppressed by the way they look and by the powers that they have, what makes mutants different from the Kree or the Hulk or any of these other fantastical looking characters, Drax, you know what I mean? Like, why are you going to discriminate against these characters and then also hold these characters up as heroes? It's a mess. Keep them separate. And that's kind of the way I feel about Spider-Man. Dude, we never got a movie where Spider-Man was just doing Spider-Man stuff in the MCU. Like, he's been in space, like Nick Fury says. He's never just been friendly neighborhood Spider-Man in any of the movies. And we're getting further and further away from that. Keep the multiverse Spider-Man in Into the Spider-Verse universe. I love Into the Spider-Verse. It is, of all of those Spider-Man movies, it's one of my favorites. I don't know if I want to... It's probably my favorite version of the story, and I think they did that very well. Okay, so now what makes Into the Spider-Verse special if Marvel comes in with Sony and is just like, nah, we're going to do that, but we're going to do it on a huger scale in live action and push Miles Morales off to the side again. I mean, because there's no actor that they could bring in that's previously played Miles in a live action movie that's going to have the same amount of clout, influence, notoriety as the previous Spider-Mans. So I don't like the idea of a multiverse at all. It was highly alluded to in Spider-Man Far From Home, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did it. I just feel like Marvel's got too many wheels spinning at this point, and I just am like, slow it down, focus, keep these things, keep them in a place where each of them can feel special. I remember John Campea saying years ago, and I always agreed with the sentiment, is like, kind of like what Crash said in The Incredibles, and that's like, if everyone is special, then no one is special. And that's the sentiment that I've always kind of held true to me, because Batman works so well in a world without Superman. You put Batman and Superman in a movie together, and all of a sudden it's something completely different. So that's my thoughts on all of those things. I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
He raised some very interesting points, because when I think about it, like he said, if you look at the history of the X-Men, they're oppressed because they are born with mutant powers and they look different. What is the difference between them and like Spider-Man, who has mutant powers? He just wasn't born with them. So like I agree with a lot of what he's saying. A lot of continuity. I do see that Disney's going the more multiverse route than they are. I won't say unoriginal, but they're going the more multiverse route because it seems easier to a degree. But Ian, you heard this news, man. What do you think about Jamie Foxx being, coming back, and do you possibly see a live action Spider-Verse? And by the way, I would like to point out, he did call this before. Ian did call that a live action Spider-Verse movie could potentially happen. So, what do you think about this news?
I mean, I'm conflicted. I got a lot of thoughts. I do want to mention something Jeremy said. Jeremy's just an old man rambling. He's just yelling at the cloud. Whatever. Okay.
You damn kids.
Yeah, he's back in my day, Uncle Ben was shot and he stayed in New York. Ooh, what is all this multiverse stuff? I want to keep it in the 90s.
Whatever.
Keep Spider-Man out of the Spider-Verse. Shut up, you old fart.
Right,
okay, so let me go into my thoughts about this. Okay, so like I said, I'm a little bit conflicted. I understand why they're doing it. Not just because it's a comic book thing, but like, what is the point of, like, this is my problem with Batman. What is the point of keep introducing these new Spider-Men and Batman as well? What is the point of having this Spider-Verse movie? And what is the point of having Avengers Endgame that introduces multiverse? What is the point if you're not going to do anything with it? Not that I'm campaigning like that's all they should do and like, oh, I love my team-up movies. I like a good movie in general. It doesn't have to be a team-up movie all the time, which I do agree with Jeremy. Like, I do want to see more grounded Spider-Man movie, like him fighting crime in New York. But at the same time, yeah, what is the point of introducing all this stuff? Spider-Verse was great, one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. I did want to see an ending of Andrew Garfield's story. I did want to see a little bit more of Tobey Maguire's story. And they've introduced these elements of how you could bring them together. Do I want to make it an everyday thing? Absolutely not. But, like, if you're going to introduce the same characters from different universes, make it make sense. And I feel like, we're at a time that you're introducing these portables and possibilities of the comic books, which they do that all the time in DC and Marvel. Let's experiment. Let's try it out. As for the announcement of Jamie Foxx, Robert Burnett actually had this theory that he might just be playing Jamie Foxx, a version of Electro in a movie. Like Spider-Man's so popular in the MCU that they're gonna say like Spider-Man 2 was like a movie. So I think that's actually a funny idea. I don't believe that's gonna be what it is, but that'd be an interesting way of Sony saying, "Ha ha, it doesn't count. It was just a movie in a movie." But I don't think that's what it's gonna be. But I thought that was an interesting take. I do, however, like we have signs everywhere. We have like the Vulture being in the new whatever that movie is, what's the Morbius movie, and then we have him talking about Miles Morales and Spider-Man: Homecoming, and then like there's so much going on for it to not happen. So I'm for it. It's gonna be. I've definitely got my eyebrow raised, and I've definitely got my guard up because it's something that it's not something that happens all the time. But why not? Why not do what they do in the comics and the television show? Why not? They've been doing. They're introducing it in DC. Let's see who could do it the best. Let's not be closed-minded like fucking Jeremy over here. Oh, I don't want my Spider-Man meeting other Spider-Man. What happened to my Spider-Man where he just left this redhead girl and stayed in Brooklyn? Stop. Let's just do something else. Let's try something else.
Bro, we're at the end of the Spider-Verse multiverse movie, right? The live-action version. All of a sudden, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire standing behind Tom Holland, and then you see a portal open up, and he hears, "On your left." He turns around. Fucking Frank, dude. Frank coming through the portal.
Deep cut, guys. Deep cuts.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. That is so funny. And I know you probably won't catch that reference until Friday. Oh.
There's two versions of freaking J.K. Simmons. Like,
that's the point.
What is the point of introducing that? Like, that's my thing. Like, you're doing this for it to not do anything? Come on, man. That's just like a girl sucking on your neck and like, all right, well, I have to go to work. What? Get your black ass back here. I'm canceled.
Oh, man. But, hey, these guys bring up some really good points. I have to say, to Ian's point, he's absolutely right. We have two J.K. Simmons. We got to tease the Miles Morales. Aaron Davis is apparently in this universe, which oddly enough is being played by Donald Glover. I listen, I as a fan, as a nerd, I would love to see this. But I agree with Jeremy that we really have not seen a grounded Spider-Man. He's been in space. He's been to London. He's fought Mysterio. He's only been in 2 standalone films, and he has 2 different suits already. Like, it's like he hasn't really been like solidified just yet. But and my always thing is if you're gonna do a trilogy, go big or go home. I will say this will. I hope this is the first Spider-Man trilogy we get that all 3 movies are actually good. The first 2 are good. But Sony, please don't mess this up. And if you're going to bring back characters like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, please let their portrayals be good, which I did like. But Andrew Garfield for me didn't really fit Spider-Man to me. Andrew Garfield was too cool as Peter Parker, too cool, and I was just like that's not it. But what do you guys think? What do you guys think about Jamie Foxx coming back as Electro? What do you think about a live-action Spider-Verse movie? Just jump into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. And our final question, you guys, comes from a Matt Ramsey. I think that's how you pronounce his last name, Ramsey. And he writes, "Hey, Alex, so Dune moved the release date next year. With Regal closing, do you think the theaters can survive another shutdown?" Well, thank you for your question, Matt. We kind of touched on this at the beginning of the show. I have never read or watched Dune at all. Like, I haven't watched it. I remember when the trailer came out, I didn't even really watch the trailer, and I didn't really watch the trailer until I saw my co-host react to it, and then I watched it. And from a person who knows nothing about Dune, I'm interested in the movie. I am kind of sad that it got pushed back because I was going to go see it. It's supposed to come out next month, but I believe that the end of next month or December. Now I got pushed back to next year. Again, like I stated before, this is the wise decision for Warner Brothers to do. And from what I'm hearing, this is supposed to be like Dune Part 1 setting up Part 2. And if Dune Part 1 is really good, I would want it to be successful so we can see a Part 2. So that's my take on that. Jeremy, I know you really enjoyed the Dune trailer. What do you think about its moving back to next year?
So I feel like this is the part of the conversation that I alluded to earlier on the first question, and it's a great question, by the way. When we look at what happened with Regal recently, they've closed and they have no actual official reopen date, which is scary because Regal is the second biggest exhibitor in the country behind AMC. If I'm not mistaken, that might not be right. I think it is, and I think Cinemark is after that. I don't know. It might be slightly rearranged, but I love the trailer for this movie. I think it's got an amazing cast, one of the best cast lineups that I've seen ever in a movie. I think that's pretty fair to say. I could bring it up, but there are just a dozen of the most high caliber actors all in it. Not only that though, Denis Villeneuve is my favorite director working right now. I mean, he is incredible. Quentin Tarantino might be my favorite still, but then this guy also, I would argue that nobody is making better looking, more immersive, and more cerebral science fiction today than Denis Villeneuve. Blade Runner 2049 is one of my absolute favorite movies. I would put it up there in the same category as to me, like Jurassic Park or Pulp Fiction or something like that. So I'm a big fan of this dude. I love the trailers. And this leads me to my point that I was mentioning earlier on is if I was the studio, I think it's a smart move. As the exhibitor, it's like you're dying. You are like literally being drained of every ounce of life that you have left in you, just waiting for one of these studios to throw you a bone, right? And if the studios don't compromise and they don't do what they can to bail out the theaters, in the long run, it could be a big, big problem because I still believe, even if they do like dual launch dates where they put it on VOD at the same time they put it in the theater, I think theaters are important. Like, I don't want to see theaters just disappear. I think that studios will make more money if they put it on the big screen. So, in the short term, it's like teach a man to fish versus giving him a fish. You know what I mean?
Right,
like the
right.
person's hungry right now, so you give them a fish, but then later on they're going to starve to death. Or they're really hungry right now and you teach them how to fish and they might starve to death in the meantime, but eventually they'll be able to catch a fish and eat their own meal or whatever. So I think it's a really it's a really difficult situation to know what the right answer is. I wish that we were seeing Dune sooner than later. I think it looks awesome. But it's another one of those movies that, like Blade Runner 2049, like the budget in this thing is no joke. I couldn't tell you exactly what it is right now. I would venture to say with the marketing and everything else, we're probably talking about $400 million movie, something crazy. So I can understand it's very, very high stakes. And they don't want Villeneuve to fail again. That's why they put the pop song in the trailer and made it seem a little bit more like a Star Wars action movie. They want to set him up to win because he is so talented. I mean, if you've seen Arrival or Enemy or Sicario, like this dude makes fantastic movies, but I think, and I hate to overgeneralize, I think they're a little bit too cerebral and not enough just like mindless entertainment. There's not enough big action set pieces and they're a little more slow paced. I think this movie's like 3 hours and some change long. And like you said, Alex, it is setting up a larger universe. I think he's the perfect person for the project, but it's a tough situation. And yeah, Warner Brothers again sitting here with their dong in their hand trying to figure out what to do because Tenet taught them it's not a good investment to release them in the theaters right now.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And like I said before, I'm interested to see. I don't know anything about it, but I would love to watch I can't even pronounce his name, but he has some great movies. To Jeremy's point, Sicario is probably like my favorite of his movies because that movie so good. But Ian, what do you think about Dune being pushed back? And what do you think about the movie overall as well?
Oh, for sure, man. As a great director, I feel like Arrival is one of the best sci-fi's in the last 10 years.
Yes.
Bro. Like, definitely on the list. Yeah, this is a great director. I don't know much about Dune like you as well, but I'm in dying, desperate need of a great franchise that's up there with like the MCU or Star Wars stuff like that. And I think Dune has a lot of potential. I don't know. It has potential though. And Warner Brothers needs another win after Harry Potter. So
Yeah.
I love the fact that they're trying. As this goes, I kind of gotta just like repeat some of the stuff that we said previously. But I do want to say this. This reminds me of what happened like after 2008. We were in a recession and things were just like at an all-time low financially. Not as bad as they are now, but like financially, then people had to get creative. Like that's when Uber started. That's when a lot of things people had to do things, had to experiment. And unfortunately, with experiments, a lot of things will fail, kind of like a tenant. But eventually, we'll get things right. And we're at a time right now that we have to experiment. Studios are scared, rightfully so. Nobody wants to lose money. Nobody wants to like lose their jobs. Nobody wants to fail. We as YouTubers have to experiment all the time because that algorithm's always changing. But when it comes to this, when it comes to the entertainment industry, we just gonna have to suck it up, throw some stuff out. If it doesn't work, go back to the drawing board. But we gotta figure something out, is my opinion on this matter. And studios, we don't want to see the death of studios. We don't want to see the death of movie theaters. We don't want to see the death of anything. Honestly, I think there's something to be made. I think there's an answer for it. We just don't know, and we're just scared to figure that out. Understandable, but let's try. I have no say. I'm just a YouTuber. I don't run any studio or nothing like that. But like, if they're willing to experiment, I'm willing to help when it comes to like my financial like money, because I'm a fan of movies and television. So like we will figure this out like we did with the recession. You know, we went on and people became business owners and did things on their own. I think there's some type of gray area that we can figure it out, man. And I think behind the scenes they're working on it.
Yeah. And I agree with what he said. We have to become creative in this space. That's part of the reason why at the beginning of this whole pandemic craziness, a lot of the movies that were in theaters had a short run in theaters and they immediately went to on demand. So I probably would have never saw like Bloodshot or The Way Back in theaters because they weren't on my radar. But when I watched them at home, they're really good movie. Well, Bloodshot's okay, but The Way Back is a really good movie. And I don't think Dune should be on demand because the way it looks, I was like, wow, I gotta watch this in the theater. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think that it's wise for it to be pushed back? Do you think that Warner Brothers should just put it out and see what happens? Just jump to the comment section below. Let us know your thoughts. And thank you guys so much for an amazing show that we have had today. Please like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We get all the updates every time we're releasing a video here on Momentum Media. Jeremy, where can we find you on YouTube and social media?
First of all, I want to say good luck. I know you've got quite a bit of footage to be editing over the next couple days, so I hope you enjoy doing that. And if you want to check out my YouTube channel, it's Movies Are Terrible and Jeremy Be Terrible on Twitter and Instagram.
Awesome. And Ian, where can we find you on YouTube and social media?
Yeah, for sure. You can check me out at youtube.com/thecontroversy, or you can find me on both Twitter and Instagram at @I_controversy. And let's have some dialogue, man. I'm always ready to chat movies, television, hip hop, pop culture, all that stuff, man.
Yeah. Amazing channels. They put out really great content. By the way, check out Terrible Movie Trivia. The last match you put out for this month, because I know you're doing a Halloween theme, was amazing. I didn't know much about any of that stuff, but now it kind of makes me want to watch those movies. So I can't wait to get into that type of stuff as well. So definitely check out Terrible Movie Trivia, amazing game show that is on the internet. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. And as always, you have a blessed day.